All right, for the post-millennial understanding of Revelation chapter 20, verses 1 through 6, it's very similar to the amillennial perspective. It too believes that the millennium is happening now, except the post-millennial perspective is that the kingdom is here and now physically on earth, and that it's kind of more of an optimistic view of history, that things are progressing, that God's plan, his providential plan from the beginning, is that the gospel would transform nations, transform people, and transform this earth. And so they would see this as being a actual real tangible kingdom here and now. In fact, they would point to Ephesians chapter 2, verse 19. It says, "And what is the immeasurable greatness of his power toward us who believe, according to the working of his great might, that he worked in Christ when he raised him from the dead and seated him at the right hand in the heavenly places," so talking about his ascension, "far above all rule and authority and power and dominion, and above every name that is named, not only in this age, but also in the one to come. And he put all things under his feet and gave him as head over all things to the church." They read that and they go, everything is subservient to Christ. And so the church has actual power. And so we are called and compelled to proclaim the gospel. This often finds itself involvement in politics and in states and just different things of going like, our goal is to redeem this earth. And that's what God's plan is that we would then be conquerors, not just in a spiritual sense, like the amillennial perspective, but in a very real, tangible sense. And so when they're reading Revelation chapter 20, verses 1 through 6, they see that as being the opportunity that God is giving to his church to rule and reign with him on this earth. And so all the other arguments and the discussions from amillennialism, as far as like when Christ comes back, it's then the judgment and the new heaven and the new earth, they would agree with. And they would just see that this progression is happening. Now, the tribulation becomes a little bit of a tricky point there, because obviously things are difficult and there's been tribulation. And so they would say that tribulation is just part and parcel and to the kingdom. And there's always going to be this fight. He doesn't promise us that we're going to reach utopia here, but just that our job is to advance the kingdom, and the kingdom will advance by the power and grace of God. And so that's the post-millennial understanding of Revelation chapter 20, 1 through 6.